During my college years, I had a significant experience with my aunt by marriage, which I've never shared with anyone before. I'm taking this opportunity to share it online. I was born in a rural area and managed to get into a high school that was known for being attended only by top students. All of my friends were focused solely on their studies, and although I longed to have fun, my curiosity and dedication to my studies eventually led me to be admitted to one of the top universities in the country. I studied at a boarding high school in the countryside. Both sets of my grandparents were quite wealthy, which thankfully allowed me to attend a private high school and have my boarding fees covered. My parents run a stable business. However, my mother had complications during her pregnancy with me, leading to a premature birth, which made them hesitant to have a second child. I spent quite some time in an incubator as a premature baby, overcoming many challenges as I grew. Consequently, my parents' primary concern was always my growth and health. As a child, I was prone to catching colds and suffered from chickenpox and skin diseases due to my weak immune system. My parents left no stone unturned in ensuring my health, seeking out the best medical treatments, natural healing methods, and gentle products for me to use. Fortunately, as I grew older, my health improved significantly. Living away from my parents in the boarding school raised their concerns for my well-being, but over time, my immune system strengthened, and I became healthier than many of my peers. I have an aunt and an uncle on my mother's side. My aunt and uncle always gave me pocket money whenever they saw me, admiring how I grew up strong and smart, despite being born weak, and showered me with affection. As the eldest child in my father's family, I was the first to receive love and attention from all my relatives. Before starting university, I tried my hand at part-time jobs, and I was quite popular among the customers, much to my embarrassment. Now, let me tell you about my uncle, my mother's youngest brother. He is 10 years younger than my mother, who used to carry him on her back and take care of him. Growing up with two older sisters, my uncle has a very kind personality. He is currently a teacher and has recently married a fellow teacher, my aunt. When my uncle got married, my grandfather bought them a nice apartment in the city. He also told my uncle that if he ever found the teaching life too challenging, he could always learn about running the family business. The college I attended was conveniently close to my uncle's place. My mom, feeling uneasy about me living on my own as I began my college life, reached out to my uncle. She proposed, "We'll provide ample living expenses. So could he possibly stay with you for a year?" My aunt, overhearing this, immediately agreed, saying, "Of course, he should stay with us." That's how I ended up living with my uncle's family during my freshman year. My aunt would often come home a bit earlier than most, and seemed perpetually busy coordinating with other parents. Surprisingly, without me even mentioning it, there was a lineup of students wanting tutoring. My uncle suggested, "Since we're newlyweds with no one to bother us, why don't you take as many students as you can manage and teach them here?" He even bought a large table for our living room for this purpose. My days were filled with attending classes and tutoring from evening till night. While it left me a little short on personal study time, I was genuinely happy. My aunt also made sure to prepare snacks for the students I was tutoring. Earning a good amount from tutoring made me incredibly happy. One day, I suggested treating my uncle and aunt to dinner and buying them each an outfit. My uncle joked, If my nephew is offering, I've got to accept happily. When I bought my aunt a dress and saw her trying it on, my heart unexpectedly started racing. I didn't show it, but from that moment, I began to see my aunt in a different light. As the semester ended and summer break began, my uncle had to go on a business trip. Since my aunt had done so the previous year, she stayed home. My parents wanted me to come home, saying they missed me, but I decided to stay for my tutoring commitments and planned to visit during the holiday season. My aunt, who usually didn't have the time, decided to try her hand at cooking more and went grocery shopping. We ended up having dinner together earlier than usual that day. My aunt loves seafood, which my uncle isn't fond of, so she bought a lot of clams and shrimp to make seafood pasta. When I asked if I could help, she cheerfully responded, "No need, just enjoy what I cook." My aunt is a remarkably diligent person, never one to sit still. If something catches her eye, she has to clean it up immediately, which is why the house is always spotless. The seafood pasta my aunt by marriage made that day was absolutely delicious. She pulled out a bottle of wine she had received as a gift and suggested we drink it together, and the atmosphere gradually became more cozy and warm. When asked if she missed my uncle since they were newlyweds, she waved the question away, saying that after dating for so long, she didn't really feel his absence. "Auntie, do you plan on having kids anytime soon? I know it might be rude to ask, but I think a child of yours would be beautiful," I inquired. My aunt's face momentarily clouded over. "Yes, we're newlyweds, but it seems your uncle isn't quite ready yet. Pressuring him hurts his pride, and we're both so exhausted all the time. There's hardly a moment to think about starting a family," she replied. Seeing her usually bright and beautiful expression changed so drastically really broke my heart. Given the difficult conversation, I found some courage too. It was a first for me, but I ended up spending the whole night with her until my uncle returned from his training. We spent every night together in her room, just like a couple. The day my uncle came back, the three of us went out for dinner, and my aunt seemed a bit awkward around him. I couldn't help but find the situation somewhat endearing, and chuckled to myself. My aunt, always seeking my company, seemed so lovely to me, which felt like trouble. However, the thought of stepping back, considering they might start a family and have a cute niece or nephew, seemed like the right thing to do. That's the correct decision, isn't it? Thank you for reading my story.